I'm Ita. Welcome back to my channel. Do you notice that I say welcome to my channel, not welcome for my channel? You probably here for learning English, right? Or to learn English. So, those little words, to and for, they're so tiny, but when they're used as preposition in English sentences, grammar can get confusing. Can it? I'm sure that you've been confusing by this word at some point. Me too, sometimes. So, in this lesson, I'll go over them in a little detail so that you can feel more confident using them while you write or while you speak in English. Prepositions in general are pretty easy to make you confused. For some of you, maybe as a problem with this preposition, you're thinking about the way that we use them in our own language. For example, in Indonesia language, we know untuk, the translation to and for preposition. Indonesia language has no specific rule to use untuk as preposition. So, we think how to use to and for in Indonesian language, not how to use it in English. And that is quite different. So, part of the challenge when we're learning is understanding how to use them separately in English and what the difference is. When to use one or the other. Some languages don't really rely on preposition much at all. From this reason, English preposition must be learned and practiced in contact with other words. So, we will look at words that they often use with. Back to this preposition today. To and for. Sometimes, using the wrong preposition doesn't affect the meaning of our sentence too much. Native speaker will recognize the mistake, but they probably won't correct us on it because they will understand us, because English is foreign language for us. With these two prepositions, they can often be used in place or each other, and sometimes the meaning completely changes. So I'm going to talk about the use of to, and I'm going to talk about for, and I'm going to talk the times when you could use either to and for. Make sure you stick around until the end of the lesson. Okay, let's start. When we should use to? When there is some kind of movement from one place to another. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't only relate to physical movement and action. It could also relate to other types of movement. It can use to when there's some kind of transfer happening or something is being moved from one place to another destination. Something is being moved to somewhere or something, right? Do you usually take the bus to work? So, there's movement, of course, in the direction to move. The destination is work, and the direction to work. No? I'm going to give you a few other examples, and I want you to pay attention to the destination or the direction being described in each one. If you are feeling sick, you should talk to a doctor. Can you quickly run to the shops? They invite us to their house for dinner. Now, if you're talking about distance, you should also use the since distance is the length or the time for one place to another, a destination. It's only 5 kilometers from my house to the office. Now, we also use to when we're talking about time and the amount of the time between 2 points in times. Of course, we use it when telling the time, right? It's 5 minutes to 8. It's 6 minutes to 4. When we're talking about 2 points, one to another point in time, we can also use to. The supermarket opened from 9 p.m. to 7 p.m. So this is a period from this time to that time. That's the directions. That's the movement. Now if there are 2 things and you like one of those things a little more than the others, you prefer it, right? You prefer one thing to the other. I prefer chocolate ice cream than vanilla. It's way better, obviously. We can say, I prefer chocolate ice cream more than vanilla. Or he prefer riding his bike to walking. Do you prefer tea than coffee? Yes, it's me. I love tea. Okay, what about you? I want you to tell about your preferences in the comment below. So make sure you're comparing 2 things and that you're using the preposition to. For example, like, I prefer spring to winter. Add it to the comment. Okay, now we can also use to talk about point, where something finishes or ends. It's the limit that you can go past. During the flood, the water come to minus. So, in this situation, talking about limits, you might also hear the phrasal verb up to. The tickets could cost up to $200 each during the high season. Okay, I want to check. You have been paying attention or not? Time for quick quiz. So what are 4 different situations where we commonly say the preposition to being used? Okay, the first situation that I just talked about are: first, direction or destination; second, time or time between 2 points; third, preference; fourth, limit or end point of something nice. Very good. Okay, let's check out what for is used for now. So we can talk about benefit using for, the positive effect or result of something. So we can use for. For example, one of the benefits of eating ginger is that helps your immune system. So, ginger is great for your immune system. Exercising every day is good for your health. That's the benefit. We also use for to talk about time. We use it when we're doing something over a period of time. You get the idea, right? We do something for a duration, a period of time. For example, like They've been living in the city for 3 years already. How long have you been studying medicine for? I've been waiting for 20 minutes already. Where are you? For is often used when talking about time in this way. If you're doing something to help someone out or do something nice, then you're doing something for them. For example, like I bake cake for my sister. I need to collect the mall for my grandma. Or, hey, can you grab that strawberry for me? You see from these examples that you can ask someone for a favor. Can you please do something for me? Yeah, that's we use for. Next, what this thing purpose? What is this function? What is it used for? Well, it's used for drinking and filling up the water. Remember that we use for when we're talking about a function or a use. We use the form for plus verb ing. For example, what is it used for? I use for and ing. I used for drinking. I used for swimming. I used for riding. Any used for drinking? Okay, so notice the verb ing always following for. Okay, we're ready to talk about first the benefit, second the duration of periods of time, third helping someone, fourth function or use when we want to use for. So all the situations where we can use to and for. It's not complete list, but they are the most common ones. Now, other very common use of this preposition is one where both of them can be used both to and for, which where things get a little trickier. You can use both to and for to talk about a reason or a motive. So that is to talk about why someone is doing something. For what reason are they doing it? There are simple rules to remember that will help you to use them correctly. Use to when the motive or reason is a verb, and for when the motive or reason is a noun. So let's check it out. Why is he studying English? He's studying English to apply for a job. Use to. Apply as a verb. So we use to in this example. He's studying English for a scholar. So a scholar is a noun. So we use for in this example. Next, let's look at example where you can use both of them, to and for. Both of them can be used correctly, but the meaning of each sentence changes. So this is where you have to be correctly or little carefully. Okay, for example, like my assistant brought lunch to me. Remember to use to talk about destination or direction where there's movement involved. So in this example, lunch is coming to me. I'm the destination for lunch because my assistant physically carried the lunch and delivered to me. The other example, my friends brought lunch for me. So remember, for is used to do something nice or to help someone with something. My friends brought it to me because he wants to do something nice to me. Okay, both of these sentences are grammatically correct, but using to and for changes the meaning. So you've got to be careful. So that's all what we learned today. The using of preposition to and for. I hope you understand and see you next time. Bye.